inverters for the Aurora photovoltaic and wind range are equipped with internal software that allows several parameters to be monitored for both the operation of the plant, the inverter itself, and for the production of measured energy. The inverters are also provided with a display capable of showing sensitive data simply by using the built-in keypad. Often, due to the limited accessibility of the system, remote display of the inverter's data is necessary. This allows both full control of its functions and the checking of its energy production. The PVI desktop communicates remotely with up to 6 inverters. It presents information to the user on a large display, processing and storing it throughout the life of the system. The PVI desktop is a standalone device. However, it can communicate with other devices, such as a PC, but this is only for the purpose of printing historical data. Check that the PVI radio module is correctly installed. See the PVI radio module manual to initialize radio communication. Check that the Aurora inverters in your photovoltaic or wind plant are turned on. Check that the addresses for the RS485 ports are all different. They do not need to be sequential. Check that the current data and time is set on the inverters. Check that the RS485 wiring is correct and inserted if you want to initialize RS485 wired communication. Switch on the device by pressing the on-off button and follow the instructions that appear on the display. Select the desired values and click on Next. Set the current date and time. Select the communication channel. Select the box corresponding to the communication channel that will be used. Select the number of inverters that will be connected to the PVI desktop. Select how often you want a data read refresh. The time is selectable from a minimum of 1 minute to a maximum of 15 minutes. Scan the communication channel to search for inverters or choose to defer the operation to a later time. At the end of scanning, the table will show the models and serial numbers of the inverters found. At this point, it is possible to choose which inverter to associate uniquely with your PVI desktop, so that they cannot be seen and recognised by other PVI desktops nearby. It is advisable to check that the serial numbers of the inverters chosen correspond to those of the inverters in your system, to avoid associating inverters from other systems nearby with your PVI desktop. Once the selection has been made, press the Next key on the display and confirm the choice. At this point, the system is configured and automatically starts the synchronization procedure. It is important not to interact with the device until this is complete. The first synchronization can take a long time because of the high amount of historical data that the inverters will send to the PVI desktop. The PVI desktop remains, by default, on an intuitive screen that summarizes the system's important data and operating status. Each inverter in the system is surrounded by a line indicating different states depending on the color. If you touch or click on each inverter, you will see a bubble showing the recognition data for the individual inverter and its operating status. The top bar contains the information regarding date and time, battery status, the power of the radio signal received, and the radio communication icon. The central black band shows the summary data for the whole system. Touching or clicking on any point in the black band gives you a detailed view of the system. The screen shows the graph of the power produced by the system and, by touching or clicking on the relative tab, by each individual inverter. The right side also summarizes the sensitive parameters. The central black band shows the data for the system or the inverter selected from the tabs. The tab also has indications that are always visible, reporting the status of each individual inverter, and a power meter that indicates the power exported in the form of a graph. The PVI desktop menu is divided into sections, and each section has several submenus to view, set or change the settings of the device. Statistics menu. In this section, you can recall all the production data for the system for certain time intervals. Subsections indicate the time interval for which you want to see the production data. Settings menu. In this section, you can enter or change the object's configuration parameters. The first heading, Date Time, allows you to change the date and time set. The second heading, Money, allows you to enter the current exchange rate for calculating savings. Display sets the brightness and recalibrates the touchscreen. Successively, there are the Language subsection, which allows you to set the system language, the Configuration Wizard, which allows the communication channel to be reconfigured, and the Firmware Update, from which you can upgrade the PVI desktop firmware to the latest level. The Sleep heading allows the battery save function to be activated. This function can be enabled or disabled at the set time intervals. For the new software installation procedure, please refer to the applicable section. Models with Bluetooth also have a heading in this menu dedicated to the enabling or disabling of the peripheral. Info menu. In the subsections of this menu, you can get information about the PVI desktop serial number and the firmware version installed. It is also possible to get information on the radio cards connected, such as the software version on the cards. Full-on mode. In full-on mode, the display is on and all functions are 100% active. Every touch in an active area of the touch screen will make the page change and execute the set commands. Standby mode. In standby mode, the PVI desktop display will be off, but the object will be ready to react to a touch on the touchscreen. The radio and RS485 peripherals are 100% operational. A flashing blue LED will indicate this state. The PVI desktop automatically goes into standby 1 minute after the last touchscreen command. In sleep mode, the whole system is on minimum consumption. The peripherals are off and come back on automatically to send data requests to the inverter. The user will not see any indication from the PVI desktop. The device will go into this state only if it has been enabled through the appropriate menu and after a time that can be set. To reawaken the system, press the on-off key for at least 1 second. The device will never go into sleep mode if at least one power supply is connected. Off mode. By pressing the on-off key for at least 5 seconds, a screen will appear asking if you want to turn it off. By pressing OK, the object will switch off completely and will not send any data requests by radio or RS485, or perform any other operation until it is switched back on. To switch the PVI desktop back on, simply press the on-off key.